These are some more of my August sketches. We went out on a long walk for the afternoon, and we walked really slowly, only covered about a mile an hour, but I stopped and drew sketches whenever I wanted to, and resisted the urge to take photographs, because you never actually get to look properly or to look back at the photographs. So these were sort of fields and things. This one was a dragonfly that stayed sitting for so long that I could actually draw it in all of its patterns. And again, fields, and I'm pleased with the pencil lines on these. And we walked right round the back of the container port at Felixstowe, which I've always been fascinated by the patterns and the colours of all these containers, and it turned out to be quite a good vantage point. And again, I've been thinking about this idea of what was permanent and what was transitory, and the nature around us was at a certain time and season, and then you had all these containers which were on their way to and from places. Down on the beach, and even though these are only little sketches, and the family moved off fairly quickly, this one in particular, the mum was putting a jumper on a shivering child, and even just those few lines have managed to capture what was going on there. These are pictures where I was trying to work again with gouache paint, and just try to capture the essence of it. These were done from the bird hide, just quick sketches. And this one here of the tree, which isn't a great tree, but it's recognisable. But I do like the quality of the paint, especially on the water. It's sort of it's translucent, but it captures some nice textures as well. This was one I did at Gainsborough's house. They just had a little flower bed outside the door, and what I really loved were these iris shoots coming through, which were big and chunky and woody, and growing all in amongst them were these little tiny spiral dark green leaves. The contrast between the two is lovely. These are my sketches from the Matisse exhibition, which I went down to London on the 3rd of September. Managed to catch it just before it ended. But going around the rooms, drawing and picking out things that appealed to me. With these letters, it was the Q particularly, because it isn't an accurate Q, but you can just see what it says. And I love the flowing figures, and again the fact that some of the shapes were just pinned and transitory, and lots of times he just caught it at a moment in time, and that's how it was on display, but you knew it could be dismantled and reassembled, and it could be something completely different at any point. Again, this was jazz room, and these regular sort of rhythmic shapes, and the idea of cutouts, positive and negative shapes as well. I really liked his papers that he'd made, and knowing that he had painted all of his own papers as well. Again, this was just looking at how different shapes and patterns were set out against each other. And this swimming figure, the swimmer in the tank, it just, you could feel that body moving through the water, and sort of that the limbs would be moving. I stood and did this sketch from a photograph because I just like, it was Picasso working on some of his chapel drawings, but he was almost like one of his own pieces of work himself. And this one, the bees, was probably one of my favourite pieces, because it was hot and buzzing with the colours and the movement of all these little squares, and the more you looked at it and analysed how he'd done it, the stripe. Yeah, sorry, run out of recording space, had to come back to it. The longer I looked at this, I could see the construction lines and all the different shapes going on. It was a really impressive piece. And again, this one was looking at the windows and the patches and the shapes and how they were all sort of balanced together. And this one was a drawing with just gouache and black and one colour, and leaves, but the construction again really appealed to me, and again quite strongly patterned. And this was it was a woman standing by a table, and I was just looking at the way the table was constructed. It was actually, although it dominated the picture and came through as a dark shape, it was actually a negative, because other lighter pieces of paper had been pinned over the top of it, leaving the dark showing through. So although it was actually physically behind, visually it leapt forward because it was a darker colour. So I thought that was really interesting way of constructing it. And this was a sketch from the room with the blue nudes, and again, just I loved them, and because he'd made his own paper, and whenever I've seen them they've just looked like flat blue shapes, but actually they weren't. You could see all the scuffs and the cuts and tears and patches and edges over the top of each other. There's so much more to them, seeing them in real life. And there was also these several sculptures in the same room, and you could just see how, looking at these sculptures, they were constructed of different sort of tonal planes. So I began to see where he'd been able to cut the shapes out from. And yeah, getting towards the end of the rooms here. This was the figure carrying the water bottle, and these were just really simple colours. There was this big vertical blue stripe. The figure was cut out of blue paper, and I've marked the lines where the pieces of paper sort of overlapped. And then just this cream square behind, and the blue pomegranates. So really, really simple, and the whole thing was stuck on canvas, so you had the texture of the canvas. So I suppose getting into sort of Wedgwood colours, except that the blues were a lot brighter. And that cream square almost disappeared. You couldn't see it as part of the picture, and yet it made it so much more interesting, so really added some depth to it. And by the same token, where are we? These were the acrobats, so very much it was the same sort of colour scheme, the cream, blue, and on canvas, but you just got the flow and the tension of the figures. This one was sort of flowers and plants, leaves. It was all of each individual square was filled with leaves and dots, but I was again interested in the sort of background construction that was going on behind it, and again, which just gives much more depth to the image. And I think yeah, that was the end of the Matisse exhibition. It amused me when we came out of the shop, went to the toilets. There was a little logo of a woman and a baby changing, little sort of these logos on the toilet door, and I found myself looking at the spaces in between them, and yeah, just thought I've been looking for too long, time to go home, Stills. This was done afterwards. My daughter and I went out for a meal, and we were sat in the Pizza Express near the Globe Theatre, and I was looking out at the bridge, and it was just beautiful, all lit up in the dark with turquoises and pinks and yellows and greens, just trying to capture the shape. And what I liked was inside the restaurant there was black and white horizontal striped wallpaper, and you've got all of these walls inside, and then people and their tables, and then you got the black and white stripes reflected in the glass, so that the bridge was actually behind all of those as well. So just ideas to work with. And this was a detail of a little building that, and the river that was under the bridge. Yeah, so in this area here.